All right, we're going to do Exodus 32, verses 1 through 14, the golden calf. So, the question I'll ask tomorrow is, in May of 1971, does anybody know what album came out and was such a big hit and hit the top of the charts? May 1971. And the album is entitled My Sermon, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. And what was interesting about this album is Marvin Gaye usually sang about love. And he changed it around and started speaking about what was going on in the world. He took it from a standpoint of a Vietnam veteran coming back. Obviously, the Vietnam War was still going on. Some of the lyrics, which I probably mess up, is mother, 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 mother. Too many of you crying. Brother, brother, brother. Too many of you dying. Picket signs, picket lines. People were having problems with their jobs, unemployment, poverty. He puts in a line in there about brutality. Only love. War is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. And then it's the chorus. What's going on? What's going on? But we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. It's so important. It's such a genius line. You know, we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Because the world is crazy. And this album, as it was crazy in 1971, as we go to this text, it was crazy during the biblical times, and it's still crazy today. And one of the problems is this was a top-selling album. It had hit #1. It was Marvin Gaye's second album that hit #1. Is what's going on in this world. We got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Because it's a crazy world. It always has been. And I look at our society, and the problem of our society, and always time in and time out, as it was, as it is now, is people turn from God. People don't know God, and that's the problem that the Israelites find themselves in, is they turn from God. God has already gotten them out of captivity from Egypt, and now they want an idol. Now here's the text, is Moses is up on Mount Sinai. We read the text, we know he's up there for 40 days. 40 days we know he's up there. They don't know this. They're starting to get frustrated. Where is Moses? Where is our leader? Moses is a good leader. So they decide they want to worship and have some fun. They want to worship a golden calf. And they bring this upon Aaron, who is Moses' brother. Aaron's supposed to be a good leader. He's not being a very good leader. He gets frustrated. And when he gets frustrated, he lets them go into idolatry. Now, they have already been given the commandments through a cloud from God verbally. Moses is up there getting the commandments, and he will bring them down as the tablets, and we'll get to in a minute. God writes them down for them. But they know the commandments. They commit some of the commandments. They sin with some of the commandments of what's going on. The biggest commandment that they do is you cannot have false gods, and that's what they are doing. And so this is what they get frustrated. They don't know where Moses is. Aaron gets frustrated. He says finally, women, take off your jewelry, as God had got them out of captivity in Egypt. And they were doing so well, the men and women had jewelry. Now, women, unfortunately, Aaron said only the women had to give their gold over. They gave the gold, and he builds this young bull, this calf we call a young calf. Golden calf. It's animal. And he uses the word, he talks about that we will worship the Lord tomorrow. And when he uses the word Lord in this text, if you look at it, it's Elohim in there, it's plural. So they are worshiping this golden calf as a false god with a lowercase g, and also they're giving offerings up to false gods. So not only are they worshiping in this golden calf, but they are worshiping false gods and not the God that brought them out of slavery through the Red Sea, through Moses' staff, and giving them enough resources for gold. They are going to worship a God that they think will get them through the next steps, because Moses isn't coming down, and this is not good. Aaron is a bad leader. And he is going to point his finger at them and not take accountability for his leadership. Leaders have to take accountability. Again, verse 5, Aaron gets frustrated, gives in to him, and he builds this calf and molds it himself. There, worship, as the word says, Elohim. It's plural, which means Lord. False gods. A big no-no. So with that, Aaron, gotta be a good leader. There are times in life where you're going to have to grab the bull by the horns and take over leadership responsibilities. Whenever you're in ministry, you may be in the back front of it, but there will be times where you have to be a leader that you will be called upon. And in life too, whether it's your job, whether it's with your family, you are going to have to be a leader, and you're going to have to be a good leader. In order to do this, you're going to have to keep your composure. Aaron couldn't keep his composure. He got frustrated, and they have a calf now. So this is what Aaron, it was accountability and points fingers. I was listening and it said some bad leaders, and I heard this story of a bad leader of a pastor in Colorado. He was trying to sell his congregants cryptocurrency, which can fluctuate up and down. But the problem was his cryptocurrency, he was telling them it was worth more than it was. Telling them it was $10 to $12. It was really worth $1.50. He made millions off of this, and he started using it, and he even admitted to it. He's a bad leader. You got to be good leaders. He admitted that he took $1.3 million and put it to luxury vacations for him and his wife, also for his vehicles, and last but not least, put some of the money into his home in Colorado. That is not a good leader. We have to follow good leaders, and we have to be God, not to be God. But God becomes frustrated, and he sees that they're worshiping this golden calf, and he's going to tell Moses a little bit about what's going on. What's going on? We got to find a way. Bring some love in here today. But this is craziness was going on. Verse 6 says reveling. When you take that word, there's a sexual immorality connotation to that. So everything and all things were going on down the bottom of that mountain. Moses couldn't see it. God can see it. That's why you don't want to be a God. You don't want to be God. Because you will have to see a lot of God. God has to see. People think they are God. People think they're invincible. You are not God. There's only one God. Jesus. And at the bottom of the mountain, God sees it, and he tells Moses a little bit about it. Moses doesn't get too frustrated. He tells them that they are worshiping an idol. That they have a golden calf. Now Moses keeps his composure. Again, good leaders keep your composure. There will be times where you might lose your composure, but you can always go back to the Lord and atone for your sins. But you've got to keep your composure as a good leader. And times we'll have to have all being good leaders. At different times we have to grab the bull by the horns. So he finds out, and God gets upset. God gets frustrated. He gets perturbed. Is probably a better word to use. And he tells them, I'm going to blot out all the people. I'm going to kill all the people. I'm going to kill them all. And he says, I will give the descendants to you, Moses. And Moses keeps his composure. God keeps his composure. Oh, God always keeps his composure. But God is frustrated. And then he tells them, now I'm going to take a mountain. They will come from you, and they are worshiping idols. And Moses gives us the defendant attorney in this. He is going to represent the Israelites and tells them two major things. He says, if you take them out and kill them, Egyptians, who you brought them out of slavery, will laugh about this, will not look too highly as you as a God, as the only God in all your power, that you got them out of there. You departed the Red Sea, because you departed the Red Sea, and you had them killed too. The second thing is Moses is a great leader, and he brings up this point. He says the descendants, as you promised, are to come from Abraham, Isaac, Israel, not from me. Now, a lot of people look at this, and they say, Moses changed God's mind. No, God changed God's mind. You don't change God's mind. God doesn't make mistakes. God changed God's mind. And he's not going to blot them out. But they will be punished. They will be punished. You can't outsmart God. You're never going to outsmart God. One of the things he says is stiff-necked people. He talks about stiff-necked people. Before Moses goes down, he says that they are stiff-necked. He calls them animals. God calls them animals. Israelites, because everything, what's going on, everything and anything is going on down there. Stiff-necked. Sometimes we may be stubborn. We may be stubborn as mules, and we may be stiff-necked. But we got to revolve ourselves around God. When we get frustrated, we can't lose our composure. And we can't drop to other people's level of hostility. That's why you got to keep your composure and revolve yourself around God. And sometimes you say, God, I am on wit's end. I need you. That's what you're going to have to do. I am on wit's end. I'm about to lose it. I'm about to blow my lid and go to God. God will get you through it. So try to not get too so frustrated that you lose your composure and drop down to their level. That's the stiff-necks. We can all be stiff-necks. But these people were stiff-necked. Everything and anything was going on. As I have a pastor friend who is very good at handling people that can be stiff-necked, can bring hostility towards him, can say things about him, get him under his skin. You will have stiff-necked people that can get under your skin. One of my mentors is so good that when he gets frustrated, he keeps his composure, walks away, says, I will come back and give you an answer, but I have to go away. I want to pray on it. Surround yourself with God. Keep your composure, and that's what he does. Sometimes he'll come back in a couple of days and say, I'll give you an answer in a couple of days. I'm not going to give it to you. But he waits on it, prays on it, make sure it comes from God. He's very good at doing this. I admire that about him, where there's no impulsivity, because impulsivity can be problems where you lose, where you get so frustrated that you lose that composure. You don't want to drop down to that stiff-necked people's ways. And he's good at walking away and coming back and praying on it and then coming back and solving the problem. That's how you do. You outsmart them. You outsmart stiff-necked people, because you will have people that will try to get under your skin a lot. I know you know what I'm talking about. Get on your last nerve, or your last, some people say, good nerve. So Moses goes down and he loses his frustration. He gets so frustrated he loses his composure. Now Moses is a good leader. Aaron is not a good leader. He throws the tablet. He sees that they are sexually immoral. They are worshiping gods and offering up the things up to God. He throws the tablets and breaks them, and he's going to have to go back up to Mount Sinai to get the tablets. He gets so upset that he takes the golden calf, and this section I did not read to you. It's past verse 14. He burns it, and he gets the gold and the gold dust. He makes them drink it. He makes them drink it. All that gold. He makes them drink it. And then he tells them this. He says, those of you that are on God's side, come with me, stay on this side. Those who are not, do not. And there is a battle. And with that battle, those who were with God and with Moses, who was on with God's side, 3,000 people that were on the other side were killed. You got to stay on God's side. God wants your safety. You can't go against God. And that's the problem with our society today, is people turn from God, and God can't do anything with them, and God can't help you. God can't save you because you turn from God. You got to stay on God's side. And when judgment day comes, you want to be on God's side, because that day of reckoning, if you're not on God's side, there will be some punishment and judgment. You got to stay on God's side. And that's what happens. 3,000 people were killed because they were not on God's side. They were fighting and turned their back on God. Now Moses, the great leader, he loses his composure. There's a battle, but he is such a great leader. He says, I'm going to atone for Israel's sins. I lost my frustration. I kind of lost my composure. But he's an Israelite too. He's going to atone for their sins. Whenever you lose your frustration, lose your cool, you can always go to the Lord. He always forgives you and atone for your sins. Always forgives you. But you want to stay revolved around God and keep your composure. Revolve around the Son, Jesus. S-U-S-O-N. So that is what happens. He goes up and asks for atonement. And God says to him, okay, I forgive them. I forgive them, but they will be punished. They were given a plague. Again, because of having idolatry. With Jesus coming, we have to make sure we don't have idolatry and that we are not on the wrong side and turn away from Jesus, because on that day of judgment, if we're on the wrong side, we will be punished too. They were punished for their idolatry. We will be punished on our idolatry, not right there or during their life. We will be punished when we take our last breath and we go up on the judgment seat. If we go up before we go to heaven, that decision is made. Or when Jesus returns, that judgment will be made. And if you're not on God's side, you will be punished. You don't want to go through that reckoning and that judgment not being on God's side. That is a fair warning. So I want to tell you, is our society so crazy? What's going on? What's going on? Brutality, hostility, violence, picket signs, picket lines, too many people crying, too many people dying. War is not the answer. As Marvin Gaye said, love only conquers hate. But I want to tell you that things were chaotic back then, as they were in 1971, as they are today, but now it's more overt. You will see things more. You will see people selling drugs right in front of you now. You will see people dressed with hardly anything on in the middle of winter, right in front of you. Barely anything on. You will see all kinds of things. It's the same chaos that was going on before. We see it more because it's just more out in the open more. We also have media to report it as well, and the media can be a major problem. Also social media. Somebody does something, they put it right on social media. We find out about it. We find so much about bad news. But I want to tell you, through all the corruption and the craziness of the world that was and is, there is a lot more goodness out there. And the media doesn't tell us, because only what is newsworthy is the bad media. But we have a lot of good news media. But here's the thing, is two basic things. Revolve yourself around God. Be like God. And my second point today is, when you're frustrated, don't lose your composure. So I want to tell you of a story of someone who doesn't lose their composure. God never loses composure. For someone that didn't lose their composure, I read a story. I go to Sunny Skies to get some good stories, because it's always bad, bad, bad. It's always hearing about the chaos and the craziness which we live in. It is a chaotic world. It always was, always will be, until Jesus comes. Here's the thing: is this story? This man who kept his composure, a college student, a woman on the campus, went off on the ice, fell into a canal, and he saw it from his dorm room. And then the good leader that he is, he told him, his roommates, grab your stuff. We're going in the canal. A lady slipped in there in the icy canal. She slipped off the icy road into the icy canal. He jumps in there. He's smart enough, kept his composure to take a hammer, jumps into the canal, can't get the door open, or she can't get the window down, sees that she's still alive. He takes the hammer. Again, he kept his composure. God always keeps his composure. That's why you don't get frustrated. You want to keep your composure, because you can outsmart the things that are going on and outsmart the stiff-necked people. He starts banging the window with the hammer. It breaks, and he pulls her out and saves her. And then other people had come out there, and the time they got out there, as he was a good leader to get them out there, were trying to help him. They helped this lady up. But he had pretty much already done it, because he kept his composure. If you don't want to drop down their level, and there's more good out there than bad. And here's the problem we have in this text, is idolatry. We idolize famous people. We idolize people that have gone before us and preceded us. They become like idols. And we spend more time wondering what they're doing day to day, or how they're acting, than we are with our relationship with God, and how we are supposed to act with God, and to be like God but not be God. We spend way too much time. What does this person do? What is that person? How would that person act? No, it is not how that person is to act or how famous people. We have this thing in our society. We have to be famous. We have to be famous. We have to look at people that are famous. We have to follow them. They're regular people. They won't. The media, I feel bad. These people aren't even left alone. But I want to bring up a couple stories. A lot of you will be watching football this weekend. One person you will see during the game tonight, tomorrow. You will see. The other two you won't, because they're going to knock out the playoffs. But people look at athletes. One is a musician I'm going to bring up. The other ones, they look at actors, even politicians, they idolize them. No, you only idolize God. God and God alone. So here's the story of Jordan Love. He's a Green Bay Packers millionaire quarterback. There is more good in the world than bad. And here is the thing, is it's a crazy society, but there's more good than bad. Jordan Love goes and he pulls a girl out of, of being stuck in her car in the Wisconsin snow outside Green Bay. He is, again, a multi-millionaire quarterback. The quarterback of Green Bay. His team got knocked out. He is not an idol. He is a regular human being doing good things. There's more good than bad. He's not an idol. He's doing regular good things. So he pulls her out because he has a truck or an SUV that's strong enough to pull her out, her and her aunt out, this college student from Wisconsin. The second story is most of you saw Jason Kelce jump out in the Buffalo Bills game with no shirt on. He had been drinking. I'm not going to condemn or condone his drinking, but he jumps out, and Taylor Swift, who is one of the most popular singers and most popular singers of all time, convinced him to jump out of the booth and to go with the fans. And that's what he did. And he's talking to the fans, and he sees this little girl that has a sign, "This is my first Buffalo Bills game. I want to meet Taylor Swift." He picks her up. Again, he is not an idol. He's a regular person. He has compassion, and he brings her up to Taylor. Again, people look at her like an icon, an idol. They want to know everything she's doing. What's Taylor doing today? Now, you got to know what you and God are doing today, not what Taylor Swift is doing. But he brings this girl up to her and shows her. And they're waving at each other and saying hello to each other about 20 feet away, because she couldn't come down because there were people in front of her, but she was doing the best she could to communicate with one of her fans. There is more goodness in the world, but these people are not idols. They don't want to be idols. They just want to be regular people, and the media just doesn't leave them alone, and that makes us want to idolize them. But I will tell you, Jason Kelce, as much as I love the Eagles, and there's people in Philadelphia who look at him as an idol. There are no idols. There's only God. God is not an idol. God is greater than an idol. He says in the 3rd chapter of Exodus, he says that I am that I am. He's so great he don't even need a name. He says I am that I am. God doesn't have to be an idol. God is higher than an idol. But we, for some reason, have to have idols. Jason Kelce is not an idol. Yes, he's a great football player. Jordan Love is a great football player. But he's not an idol. We don't revolve ourselves around Jordan Love and Jason Kelce, and we surely don't revolve ourselves around Taylor Swift, as great as an artist as she is, and many people love her. We don't revolve ourselves around idols. And God is much more than an idol. We don't have idols. These people don't want to be idols. They just want to be regular people. They have gifts like we all have gifts. But they're famous, and people spend too much time on how they're doing instead of what they're supposed to be doing with God and making them idols. No, God is above being an idol. We are to revolve ourselves around the great I am, Elohim, Yahweh, Yahshua, which means Jesus. We follow around Jesus. Surround yourself and revolve yourself, orbit yourself around the sun, not the S-U-N, the S-O-N. And this will keep you when you are at wit's end, when you are frustrated and perturbed and agitated and bitter. This will keep you from losing your composure. Is surround yourself with Jesus, because what's going on is Jesus is the great I am. There is poverty. There is hunger out there. There is war out there. War is not the answer. Love can only conquer hate, as Marvin Gaye said. People are crying. People are dying. It's a crazy world, but what's going on is verse 8 says they were bound down to this golden calf and these offering up gods. They were bound down, but there will be a time where there will be no more war. There will be a time where there will be peace. There will be time where there will not be no more picket signs and picket lines and brutality and violence and hatred and bitterness and anger, because Jesus will come down and every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess, let me say that again, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. And then we won't be saying, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Because there won't be any more crying. There won't be any more dying, because Taylor Swift, Jason Kelsey, or Jordan Love, or no Moses, nor Aaron are coming down. Jesus is coming down. And then we won't be saying what's going on, because we will have peace and nirvana here on earth. As it is in heaven, and the heavens and earth will come together. There will be a new earth, new world. Because Jesus will create that new world. Perfectness. That is why we don't get caught up in idols. God is over an idol. I am that I am. He is Elohim, singular, not plural, one God. He is Yahweh. He is Yahshua Jesus. We bow down to him. Every knee shall confess, every tongue shall bow. Until then, we got to make a difference. We got to make a difference. Until then, we got to make a difference. That's up to us. We're the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. We surround